Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the session number 5 on sustainable aquaculture. I'm sure you know that aquaculture is a very fast-growing food production sector globally, all over the world, but here we are mostly talking about the Mediterranean Sea. It's also a critical component to achieve food security, and sometimes, if it's nicely done, reducing the pressure on overexploited wild fish stock.
Through case studies from Occitanie, Côte d'Azur, and Corsica, this session will explore best practices in low-impact aquaculture,
the integration of monitoring technologies to assess and reduce environmental pressures,
innovations in feed, species diversification, and circular economy models,
and if we can, once again, when it's nicely done, the balance between production, biodiversity, and coastal community. So lucky, so happy to be joined with a nice group here with MarWorld alumni, Juliette Armeni. Hello, Juliette, you're a project manager at Polmer Méditerranée. Also, Anne Pajot. Anne Pajot is a project manager at Ferme 4.0. So you're going to talk about that at Seaforth in France, talking about algae mostly. And Lisa Lafont is a MarWorld student from Université de Corse, and you're talking about today here mostly about urchins. Leah is sorry, but Leah is stuck in the field and cannot join us now. So maybe we can start with you, Juliette, with a nice overview of aquaculture.
Thank you, Christophe, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about aquaculture. So as we know, aquaculture is not really known around the world, and today I think it's a good thing to have a look about what is going and how it's going in the Mediterranean Sea. So firstly, I will just introduce myself. I'm Juliette Armeni. I'm working at the Polmer Méditerranée, which is a French cluster based in Toulon, but I'm based in Montpellier. And basically, my work is to help a company, but also academic, to firstly meet and then create innovative projects in the field of fishery, aquaculture, and blue biotechnology. So today we are here to speak about aquaculture, and I'm very happy because most of the time, people have a very bad image about what is aquaculture. But I think that the image that you will just see there, you will maybe change your mind. So firstly, we have a look to one of our members, which is Aquafrican, based in Cannes. So they are very known for producing sea bass and sea bream on the Bay of Cannes. And in this beautiful landscape, it is quite surprising to produce fish, but it is a very good place actually because all the physical parameters are here, and it's very interesting to see how it's going there. So they are very good guys to promote what is aquaculture, so sea bream, sea bass, and just to have a very fast and furious introduction, if I may say, aquaculture of fin fish, so sea bram and sea bream, was developed, for example, at Ifremer Palavas a long time ago. And unfortunately, we saw that all these competencies, so we developed the technical part, and then when it's going of the production, we don't have a lot of producer of aquaculture. So Aquafrican is one of them, and I'm very happy to see them. But anyway, today we are going to speak about another kind of aquaculture, and I'm very happy because we are going to speak about low trophic species, which is one of my favorite parts, if I may say. So we are going to speak about algae, but also echinoderm, urchin, which is so interesting for me. And actually, when now in Polmer Méditerranée, we have a lot of projects speaking about innovation, and low trophic species are also one of them. So maybe I can pass the end to the next one to speak maybe about urchin. It's very fast and furious, but I'm sure that we can have more after that.
Now, we're going back, of course, to aquaculture and the role and the place of that. But it seems that you want to give the lead to Lisa. Lisa, if you're ready, we can go.
Yes, Corsica. I'm ready. Yes, so hi, everyone. First, I would like to thank the coordination team for this wonderful event because it's a great opportunity. So thank you. So now I'm currently doing my internship within the Stella Mare platform in Corsica, which is a lab from the University of Corsica and CNRS. And so within this platform, they focus on marine and coastal research, but also technology transfer and outreach. And as you can see, we are in the north of Corsica. And within this lab, they work on a lot of different species, which are Mediterranean emblematic species, such as fish, crustaceans, echinoderms, so the one I will be working on, and mollusk. And so part of the lab focuses on monitoring the whale population, whereas some other are more within the lab and working on the fish and like breeding and rearing and all the aquaculture protocols. So my internship focuses on the edible sea urchin, also known as Paracentrotus lividus. And I would like to talk to you a bit more about the species and why it is important. So it's a crucial species because it's a prey for some fish and big crustacean, but also it helps to regulate the algae within the ecosystem. And this species is really important because in Corsica, they love sea urchin. It's part of the tradition to eat them during winter with a glass of wine. But lately, due to climate change, rising sea temperature, habitat loss, and overfishing, the population are quickly declining. So the lab helped them with restocking operation, but my internship focuses on improving aquaculture protocols, and we want to see if local diatoms known as Chaetoceros tenuissimus found in the Diana Lagoon, so a bit south from where we are right now, could be used and be more efficient for these protocols. So we tested in some tanks with a lot of larvae, and we tried different algal regime to see if this diatom could be more efficient than the one we already use. And if that's true, then it will be a great thing because the algae will be locally sourced as it's come from Corsica, and will be more adapted to the local condition and tough environment that they can face within the island. And so my internship is part of Aquabios, which is a project between France and Italy. And if our experiment is nice and we have good results, then we can share all the knowledge with local fishermen and other stakeholders within the project. So we can share the knowledge, and then, as Christophe was saying at the beginning in the intro, maybe we can try to reduce the pressure on this wild population, and maybe the aquaculture can sustain the demand while the wild population recover in the sea. So yeah, that's really nice. Speaking of algae, I think Anne will be
What a transition!
will be your girl.
I think we can go for lunch or something. So we started with Juliette talking mostly about this idea of aquaculture of vertebrates, going into invertebrates with you, Lisa. And so, sorry, Pajot, it's not negative, downgrading the food web to algae and the fantastic world of algae. How to make algae sexy. Here we go, and you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Amazing. So I won't be as fast and furious as Juliette.
Take your time.
Okay, I hope I won't you get bored. Okay, so I was asked to present a bit myself at the beginning. So I am Anne Pajot. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. It is really nice to highlight the algae, because I think they are the part of the food of the future. So I am an R&D project manager in an algae farm called C4 Earth. I will present it a bit later. We are kind of a new company. So basically I am a biological engineering. I also have an MSc and a PhD in marine biology, specialized in algae. So I started by being an entrepreneur in biomimicry. I am also a part-time teacher for a few years. I am the communication manager of an European Algae Association, the EABA. And I was last year a research engineer at the CEA of Cadarache in France. And currently, for a few months, I am a project manager at C4 Earth. So today we'll talk about the potential of algae with 3 case studies. First, part of my PhD work on microalgae that took place at Ifremer in France. We will talk about the improvement of the nutritional properties of microalgae called Thysochrysis luteae. a golden brown and very beautiful microalgae. Then we will talk about macroalgae, this time with my current job, and I will talk to you about the solution that we have, which is an integrated and sustainable value chain from the culture to the product. And finally, a few words on a forum, the New Algae for Food Forum, and how it helps to raise awareness on algae consumption. This forum it was created by the association I am part of. Okay, so first, microalgae that also Juliette knows very well because she worked with me. We worked together on that subject. So the point it was to improve the nutritional properties of this particular species. So to present her just in a few words, this is golden brown microalgae, very beautiful. This is a photo of an epifluorescence microscope. In reality, it is golden brown, okay? So this is a really small microalgae, 3 to 5 micrometers, possesses 2 flagella. And it is of interest in several fields: aquaculture, nutrition, pharmaceutical, and cosmetic industry. Why such an interest for this algae? Because it produces a lot of pigments, and especially a lot of carotenoids, including the fucoxanthin, which was my main subject during my PhD work. It possesses a lot of many things properties: antioxidant first, anti-cancer, and anti-diabetic. And also this algae produces a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, and stearidonic acid, SDA. The DHA is really interesting because this is a main fatty acid in brain and is a component of our cell membranes. But the objective here, focusing on aquaculture, it was part of this work, was to feed oyster larvae from aquaculture with a natural antioxidant-enriched microalgae to improve their growth and basically their health. So it will remind some memories to Juliette because she did that work too. So we scaled up the cultures of this microalgae, Thyzocrisis lutea, from 350 milliliters to 1 liter to 6 liters and to 300 liters in the end. You can see on the pictures that we have a 3 days culture on the left and then a 7 days culture on the right. So we can see the true color, if I may say, of this golden brown algae, which is really beautiful color in my opinion. And the point is that we reached our objective because by adapting the conditions, etc., optimizing everything, we managed to improve the fucoxanthin concentration, so the antioxidant and anti-many things pigment, by 6.5, which was a great success. So this species is now used by the platform of Ifremer in Bois to feed the oyster, and later we hope more oyster producers at industrial scale. So now let's move on without any transition to macroalgae and my current job as an R&D project manager. So our solution is to build an integrated and sustainable value chain from the culture to the product. Okay, so a few words about the company, C4 Earth. So it was founded quite recently, 2023, in Marseille, France. And the main mission is to build Europe's first fully integrated microalgae value chain, because currently we are in France and in Europe more generally, we harvest from the sea, from the beach directly, the macroalgae, but to produce more and to be certain of the production that we will have during a year, we need to cultivate them, such as it is done a lot in Asia. So our vision is to make seaweed a staple of the European diet. Okay. So why seaweed? Well, because it is fast growing. Some are not, but we will choose the best ones. They are fast growing, nutrient-rich organism, and they have a low impact crop. Overall, this company, this solution that we will offer supports biodiversity and, of course, regenerative aquaculture. We believe that it is one of the keys to Europe's food sovereignty and plant-based transition. We want to not especially to replace the meat or anything, but we want to make these vegetables of the sea more accessible to everyone. So we have 3 pillars, and I will show you right after for the company. So 4.0 farm, which will be an automated scalable seaweed cultivation process, and then a bit of downstream processing with other local facilities to just transfer and dry the seaweeds. It won't be that complicated. I mean, it's a simple process. And then we want to end up with products, algae-based foods for health-conscious consumers. Overall, it will have a multiple impact, healthier and sustainable diets. We want to be part of the ocean regeneration through responsible farming, okay? And also to the European reindustrialization and the food independence sovereignty that I told about before. Of course, it will create some jobs and innovations in the blue economy field. So this is the plan that we have. So a farm 4.0, which means all automated facility in a greenhouse, then a facility for transformation, basically transfer and drying of the seaweeds, and then a facility for the production of the products, which will be seaweed leaves, derived products. We are still thinking about this. Right now, we are beginning to work on our pilot scale. Okay.
And then maybe you can keep that for the discussion so we can have time
yes, sure.
to jump back also to Juliette, because it's very interesting that here you have talked about different levels, really, and it's rare that I think that we talk about all of these levels. I have to drop that here. So just coming back,
you still share my screen, or can I switch?
You can switch.
Oh, thanks.
Juliette, if we come back to aquaculture, you in your position at Polymer Méditerranée, you are actually having a lot of discussions with a lot of different stakeholders. And we talked about doing things right. Of course, no drop naming, shaming or anything, but globally speaking, for example, in France, around the Med, and more generally, what do you think is a proportion of companies who are really aware of the issues and they try to make it nice?
Wow, such a question, Christophe. Let me do a study case about that. But
you have 45 seconds.
No, but I think that what you mean, maybe I didn't really talk it during the overview, but I think that it's very interesting to speak about extractive species and feed species. So species that you need to feed, such as fish and other kind of animal, and species that you need to extract from the environment and you don't need to feed them. For example, echinoderm and algae are one of them. So because they are low trophic species, you don't need to feed them and you can just collect them or grow them anyway. And something that's remember me to talk, it was, for example, shellfish, because we didn't talk about shellfish, and I'm very sad about that, right?
Let's go, Juliette.
So, yes, I told you last that in France, we are not so good for aquaculture, but I was more thinking about aquaculture of fish. However, if we have a look to a shellfish farm, for example, we are more than good, and I'm very proud to speak about that today. So you need to think, you need to understand that France is a very good producer of shellfish, one of the big in Brittany for sure, but we don't speak about Brittany today, we speak about Mediterranean. So we could speak about, for example, Tow Lagoon. We represent something like 90% of the production in Mediterranean Sea, in France, sorry. So it's very interesting to see that. And I think that in this case, good practice are for sure interesting, but moreover, we need to do it. And for example, in the Tow Lagoon, in this moment, we have a European project called Asa for Ice, allocated zone for aquaculture. And we are trying to work with the different stakeholders. So stakeholders are shellman farmers, scientific, committee, and so on. And we are trying to see, okay, guys, we know that in this specific place, it's very problematic because of climate change, because of a lot of things. I mean, shell farmer, it's become very hard for them to just find a way to survive. And in this case, we try to see, okay, is it possible to maybe do some other kind of culture? And in this case, we are thinking about why not shellfish or why not algae? So for example, this is a good example of, okay, could we raise different species together? But if we are looking about the high trophic producer, for example, fish, it's also very interesting because they are producing lots of kind of things that we need to valorize, such as nutrient, experiment, and so on. And in this case, we are calling that EMTA, integrity. No, sorry.
Let's go. Try again.
Yes. So we are trying to cultivate different kind of species, and in this case, it's very interesting. But I need a lot of time. So anyway, I think that we need to speak all together.
So here you were talking about IMTA, so the integrated multi-trophic aquaculture.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
thank you, Christophe.
A bunch of French people here. We need you. So next question will be for you, I think.
Okay, well, I was wondering if I could just ask Lisa a question, kind of like jumping on this idea of stakeholders, and just to ask, like, how do you integrate or work with the local community in Corsica, and are you able to include them in your research or reach out to them? What's the kind of relationship you have?
So I don't exchange with them directly, like not with local community in Corsica, but with my supervisor, Viviana. She have every 2 weeks meeting with all the stakeholders from the project. It's kind of a mess because everyone needs to attend at the same time and connect together, and half of them speak French, other Italian, so sometimes it's a lot of stuff, but yeah, they meet regularly. So I'm here since the beginning of March, and I met some of the big stakeholders from the project and everything. So I don't interact directly with local communities, but yeah, there is no. Sorry.
Not just when you're talking about stakeholders, what are the types of stakeholders you consider
we have
here?
So we have cooperatives, like small organization, but we also have other lab, Institut Paul Ricard, I think in the south of France and everything. Yeah, we have like organization, but labs and small fisheries and everything. Like there is all kind of like big organization, but also like small one.
Maybe we can come back to you, Juliette. We're talking about stakeholders, and you work with a lot of stakeholders. So on your point of view, I think you start to have once again an overview of all of the stakeholders. How do they work together?
Hardly. No way. No. It's. I think that firstly we need to have the same amount of information, but the more difficult is that we are not expecting the same thing. For example, scientific, they need to do publication and so on. Enterprise company, they need to do business. Have to be fast and furious actually, and no, really. So I think that the first point is like, okay, we need to find common target to work together, and then we can find a good way to have a great project.
What kind of common targets then?
For example, if you are looking for an innovative project, you have thing that you need to produce together. So in this case, it could mix and would be a good thing. So in this case, it's working, yes.
Okay. Thank you. And I guess maybe perhaps for Anne, I was wondering if you could expand a little bit on some of the challenges of trying to scale up or trying to change consumer habits through kind of like some of the aquaculture that you're working on.
The challenges for me, I speak for myself, all right, is that people are afraid to eat algae because algae, they represent the toxic compounds that you find on the beach that stinks, and they are not really used to. We are beginning to get used to eat algae like tartare, but it's with capers, it's with vinegar, so it doesn't taste algae really. So one of the challenge that I want to have to succeed in the company for us is to make products that really taste like algae, but which are good, because in the beginning I really don't like algae. Okay, so I know. I really don't like algae, but we are running some. I mean, I tried a few years ago when I was at Ifremer with a friend who is used to eat some, and actually tastes really, according to the species, the taste is really different, and it's just a matter of habits. I think it's just I'm not used to this, so we need to give people products that really taste algae and reassure them that it's okay to eat algae. You won't get sick. You won't smell bad. Don't worry, you can eat algae. Okay, this is my challenge for me.
So here you're talking about people directly doing recipes with algae, but I heard that we can do a lot also with this algae for food, whether it's food supplements or it's also some kind of salmon based on algae. I know, Juliette, if you want to jump on that.
No, you're totally right. And so great thing. Firstly, we need to make people eat algae and know that it's algae. Now, more and more, thanks to sushi or stuff like that, we're used to. But in fact, as you just said, we are eating algae since a lot of years. Then to agar agar, if you're eating a jelly or stuff like that, then you eat a lot of algae, my friends. So anyway, what was the question, Christophe? Sorry.
It can be like what we can do with algae also, the more like fancy stuff like salmon based on algae.
Yeah, okay, so we are speaking about astaxanthine, and I know that Anne Pajot is very good for saying that because she did a great presentation. So Anne, your time to shine.
Stop it. Yeah, we can do a lot of different types of food with microalgae and macroalgae, and to replace the salmon is part of it. Actually, the salmon is pink because of this pigment, astaxanthin. You can grow your salmons without red microalgae, and they will be white, and the taste will be quite the same. So yes, that's the point, and that's why there is space for everyone. If you are a startup or you have an idea, there are plenty of foods, different food types to make people eat algae. Non-really transformed biomass, okay, pellets, powder, an alternative to salmon, alternative to meat. That's not what we will do in my company, but other companies do it. And if people are okay to eat some meat alternatives, etc., it can be a good thing to vegetalize the plate.
Anne, so yesterday I was in a huge salon called Vita Food about nutraceutics and so on, and I test gummies because I'm
too much gummies.
Too much gummies maybe. And actually it was very interesting because there is all this fascination about oil, DHA, EPA, and that's sure that algae, they are very rich in this kind of components. Very interesting for a lot of things. So just to tell you this little story, I ate a gummies with oil from fish and another from algae, and I can swear that the taste was not similar at all. And my favorite one for sure was about algae, not because it's more sustainable for me, but anyway, it is very interesting to see all the things that we can have from algae. And really, I'm so agree with Anne. There is a lot of place for everyone, and algae is not only one thing. You can do so many things, but the more important is you need to valorize all the compounds. So you need to think about the biorefinery way of life, and in this case,
not to have much waste.
Yes, less waste. Yes.
Going back to you, Lisa. So you're in first year at Mares. So you're arriving in Corsica in this lab. I would like to ask you also what surprised you, because you're arriving in a place where actually, so you're trying once again to use the perfect algae to feed urchins for aquaculture. What did surprise you the most?
I think, maybe all the thing we had to do before launching the experiment, like organizing everything. I wasn't I knew I was gonna prepare everything, but like we constructed everything, and it was like I learned a lot. And I also the first time we tried to do our experiment, it failed. So we were all crying, and then we had to go back and to start everything again. And I don't know, it was really I learned a lot, and that's really nice. I've never been I've never worked in a lab before, so it was a lot of new things, and it was really interesting.
Thank you, Lisa. So we're coming towards the end of our session, and we just really appreciate it if we could just go around again and just everybody have maybe 30 seconds just to give us a take-home message about sustainable aquaculture. Maybe beginning with Julia and then...
Yes, totally. Thank you. No, I think that we should think more about low trophic species, and also we need to valorize all the products.
Anne?
Eat algae, it's good for health. Woo!
Yeah,
so
focus on algae, and yeah, there is a lot of things to discover.
And urchin are delicious, actually.
Never tried, but
if they are well prepared.
No, just like that. Come on.
Yes. So next time we organize something, Juliette and Anne, you take the lead, and we can have a break, I think. Thank you, really.
Accepted.
Thank you for the good sense of humor and this energy. Thank you to the three of you. We're heading to the end of this session. In 30 minutes, we're finally leaving France and Europe, because it's 5 sessions that we're really here focusing on France and Europe. And we are going to go west, talking about expeditions at sea at 3 p.m. And then we will reach the other side of the Atlantic, talking about Caribbean reefs, Caribbean elasmobranche in the following hours, if you help us survive here in the next hours. Okay, so see you in the next sessions. Merci beaucoup.
Goodbye.
And you have to dance a bit. Juliette?
Algae move, Anne.
What I am mimicking.
Therefore.
And that is an official